Hello there and welcome. Today we're doing another challenge run, this time suggested by Floof. Can I use the affiliate slash sponsor bug to give myself god factories and beat the impossible difficulty? Now, for those of you who are unaware, the impossible difficulty is an editor difficulty that gives the AI a bunch of buffs, and it makes the game so difficult that even playing as Red Bull, I was incapable of scoring points after the fourth, fifth race of the season, and promptly got fired at the end of the year. So impossible difficulty did live up to its expectations. But today we're going to see if we can use the bug with sponsors to boost our CFD sim to a level where we can actually beat that impossible difficulty. First and foremost here, we're going to jump into the editor and take a look at exactly what the impossible difficulty entails, and then I'll explain how we're going to go ahead and buff our CFD, and how you can do that yourself as well if you want to try this. So in the online database editor, you can go into your settings and then game here, and then you'll get some options. Mentality, refurbish. Generally, the AI doesn't do it. We'll put that to active. But generally, we can also mess with the game difficulty. We can go for default. We can set it to impossible. And basically, this is what we'll be dealing with today. The game difficulty being set to impossible, which gives the AI ultra lightweight parts. Basically, they too will have 0 kg parts. They'll be more competitive that way. They'll get a massive research boost. They'll get a stat boost of plus 3%. Basically, this also affects expertise. So the AI will basically get car parts, better car parts very, very quickly, because they also have a design time. Their design times reduced by 20%. Now, this would be a bad thing, but with the stat boost plus 3% here, these actually synergize extremely well, meaning that the AI is going to have a car that gets drastically better really, really quick. And as I mentioned, they'll probably beat us by the third or fourth race, maybe even the first one, because of the fact that we're starting in January this time around rather than at Bahrain. They also get 2 free parts when the design is completed, so they'll always have the newest designs available. And that is basically impossible difficulty. It's going to be very, very difficult to beat an AI with these settings, and we're going to try and use a CFD sim, one of the most useless buildings in the game, to make it happen. Now, as I mentioned, we are going to do this using a sponsor, and we only need one sponsor in particular that I've already checked would be here, and that is this 4-star upfront package sponsor that gives us facility effectiveness. If you are playing as the 11 team, this sponsor will be named Bahrain. If you aren't, you play any of the standard 10 teams, it will show up as just a number, but it will be a 4-star upfront package with facility effectiveness up. That is the main thing you need to worry about. Now, one of the reasons why I'm playing a save here, we're already in 2027, is because I tried to re-roll a save over and over with Red Bull to see if I could get this one from get-go. Maybe I just had bad luck, but I didn't get it. So I decided we'll give Floof his honor. We'll find an older Alpine save. This is from actually around the grid, and we'll use that to test out the impossible difficulty here. So we are going to go ahead and pick that upfront package. And honestly, after this, none of these packages will matter to us. So we're just going to pick anything that doesn't have negative effects on our CFD facility, of course. And we'll just do it like this. This way, none of these sponsors have negative effects on our buildings. And we can be very, very happy with that. The CFD facility building is the only one that matters. Would it be nice to get Team Hub 2? Or maybe in Factory? Yes, but the only thing we are concerned about is the CFD Hub. And just like that, we do now have that sponsor. And as you can see, we gain 10% effectiveness here. Now, the way that we're going to do this now is basically we are going to hire and fire affiliates over and over again. And that might sound a little bit weird, but basically whenever you hire an affiliate, that buff that you get from the sponsorship will increase. So in this case now we got an extra 11%. Now, if we go ahead and fire the affiliate that we just hired, that 11% is still there. And if we go one step further and we take that very same affiliate and we give them another contract, we can rehire them immediately without needing to put in the contract information, which makes it very, very quick. And now we have another 12% effectiveness. So as you can see, the effectiveness is also basically compounding. Every time you do this, it increases a little bit. So the higher your number gets, the more effectiveness you can get with each hiring and firing. And it is important if you're going to do this that you find an affiliate that is low rated, that is cheap, because in that case, we can terminate that contract for as little as 90,000 in this case. And basically what I'm going to be doing now for probably the next half an hour or so is just hiring and firing the same affiliate over and over and over again in order to boost our CFD facility to a level where it can compete with the AI's progress. Basically, by boosting the CFD simulator, whenever we do anything that has with CFD to do, we're going to get a huge amount of extra stats. The airflow middle, downforce, drag reduction, DRS, everything here is going to be hugely effective in boosting our car a lot quicker. And that is the entire strategy. We're going to see if we can use the CFD facility here to boost our car enough that we can actually keep up with the impossible difficulty and maybe even beat the impossible difficulty. So with that said, I'm going to set up the pit crew training schedule here. There's nothing too interesting there. And then we'll take a look at how the car will look. I'm also, of course, going to sit down. I'm going to boost the effectiveness here probably up to 20, 30,000, something like that. And then we'll see just how much do we actually get when we develop our car. So some time has been spent. We have acquired a buff that is now on the level of 36,800% effectiveness. This is 10% per unit of testing, 20% for airflow and downforce. So as you can imagine, this should be pretty strong. That is per unit of testing. And I just want to go through this. A unit of testing in this game, if we do that, for safety here, that is 1 unit of testing. And you can already see that that unit is enough, I think, that it actually caps out what I can get in 1 cycle. So yeah, we actually capped the path there with 1 unit of testing. But as it turns out, we are actually limited on how much CFD I can put into a part at one time. I probably should test this to see if I can get, extra expertise by using more units. But as things stand right now, 1 unit of testing is all that we can put in, and the wind tunnel is a different beast altogether. So as you can see, it's not affected by the buff. It's just a CFD mile hours. But already here, 83, 42, 16. We'll take a look at how the car shapes up against the AI a little bit sooner. Already you can see this would put us pretty close to the, well, it would actually make us the best cornering car. Just this one upgrade on the chassis. So we'll have to see if we can actually do something with this. I would love to actually pull something off, but it might turn out to be a little bit difficult. I should probably also put more of my my guys on helping me with, parts design. But for now, 1 unit. 1 unit is the allotted amount that we can use. I'll have to see what we do in terms of engine cooling. We have a bit of a midfield car at the moment, I'm not going to lie. And fighting the AI here is going to be a little bit rough, I think. But I have hopes that we can pull it off. But yeah, even with the... Yeah, it caps out at 1 unit. So even if I boost the CFD even further up there, I don't think it's going to matter at this point. But we are designing these parts. I forgot to rush that one, but that's fine. We can rush the suspension instead. Yeah, just like that. Just the 1 unit is in there. Yeah, that sorted. Once we get to the rear and front wings, we'll take a look at them too. But for now, this is what we are designing in the first time around. And basically, I think the idea here is going to be, I forgot to use engineers instead to fix that issue. What I was going to say is I think we'll just compare the parts and see if we do get that extra expertise boost from the CFD time. That would be kind of interesting. If we don't, I think this challenge might be dead in the water already. And yeah, our car is kind of weird. It's the first time I've ever been first in the arrest effectiveness. And only the arrest effectiveness, I think. But yeah, the Alpine car in 2027 is not great. And in terms of the other cars here, Ferrari... You have Ferrari kind of beat. Red Bull, close. I think V-Car might actually be the stronger car. Kind of seems like it. Yeah, the V-Car is probably the best car out there right now. So we're close to the AI, somewhat at this moment. So basically, it's still going to be a bit of a arms race between us versus the AI to see who can develop better. And as I mentioned here, we have turned up the AI to impossible mode here. we are going to get going. These first parts are going to get designed. We'll take a look at exactly what we can get out of front and the rear wing, and then we'll compare cars again as we go into Sakir, or rather Bahrain, the first race in 2 months' time. Before we take a look at the new parts, however, I thought we might go over the rosters here. Verstappen and Sainz at Red Bull, that is a pretty strong lineup. Tsunoda and Gasly at RB. With Albon and Yamamoto and Williams, that is going to be a difficult driver to beat. Basically, Verstappen, Yamamoto, going to be a bit of a challenge. We have Norris and Bottas at Aston, Schumacher and Stroll at Sauber. Here we have an AI masterpiece. Bruno Almeida has been put in the McLaren seat next to Leclerc. Leclerc can't escape the pain, even when he switches teams, as it turns out. Pache, Russell at ATG, Perez and Piastri at Ferrari, so Piastri could be a problem too. Then, of course, we have Rivas at Mercedes. So, genuinely, because we're playing an older save here, we might actually have a bit of a bigger challenge than if we did this of a fresh save. And what I'm even saying, it is going to be a bigger challenge than if we did this with a fresh save, because the AI is given 2 extra months to develop, and there's a bunch of higher rated drivers compared to our drivers. Let's just put it like that. Yeah. Next up, we are waiting for our front and rear wing. We were lucky and got a reduced deadline here on the chassis design, so it's actually already done in just 15 days. And with that, we are going to get started on the front wing here. And as I mentioned, just one CFD period is kind of enough to cap it here, or rather one CFD mile hour. So we'll just keep on using one until we get to a point where we kind of have to use more than that. Let's just put it like that. We'll put one engineer on this. We'll get this done well before Sakir, so I'm just going to stick with just the one engineer, and we'll do the same here basically with the rear wing. I'm probably not just going to skip that. Yeah, let's see what the car looks like for real this time, unless the game has another twist to throw at us. So we've actually hit a bit of a snag here, and that is actually the designs themselves. So as I mentioned, the question was going to be, can we keep on growing, or are we going to get capped? Basically, we're still capped at using one CFD per design, but we can stack designs is at least my initial, what it seems to be initially. Like, design stacking is a thing, and honestly, we should probably use engineers as much as possible here to speed up projects, simply because if we don't, we are going to, well, end up falling behind the AI. So, in essence, I basically have given myself, if not a stronger, a very similar buff to the AI with the gold factories. In terms of them having that 3% stat boost, we have a 5 to, well, really a 10% boost, but it seems to cap out at about 5. So we basically have a very similar stat boost to the AI. They have that 20% speed though. So over the course of the season, I'm pretty sure that every team is going to end up pretty much all of the same. And as you can see, we're not even done with January. We're at the end of January. We were first in DRS. We were third in tire preservation. We were high up in a lot of these stats. We are getting sent down the order to the Shadow Realm right now. We are lost in everything but 2 stats, and those 2 stats were second to last in. And I haven't even manufactured anything yet. So, yeah, this could be a very, very interesting start to this season. We've had an unfortunate moment here. All design work will be paused for a week. We'll have to pray that we can get everything done in time. So to make matters even worse, we just had 7 days off. We had another 7 days off here because I just don't want to take the chance. And with that, we're not actually going to get the front wing ready here for Bahrain. It's actually just not going to be possible. That is, of course, a bit of an issue, but I think we'll be okay. With that said, 3 more days. We will need those 3 days to manufacture. Then we'll jump into Bahrain itself. Our manufacturing is mostly complete. We still have an underfloor that we'll have to put on after practices on Friday. I'm still going to keep these slots open because we're probably going to end up making new parts. But let's just take a look at what we can put on the car, and with that puts us versus the AI. Already you can see that chassis that was meant to put us in the lead is not going to do that. So already here, the impossible challenge might be facing a bit of a problem. Rear wing 2 is not gonna help. What about the side pods? Not gonna help. What about our underfloor? And Yeah, it's not a huge game between the two different underfloors, so we might actually be in a bit of trouble here. Because I don't think we're going to be able to keep up development-wise with the AI. And if we take a look right now, we are far, far behind. I think the AI has already maximized their cars. And honestly, we'll take a look in the editor here and see where we stand. Because this challenge might very well be basically impossible if we can't actually boost our parts enough. So let's take a look in the editor. How far ahead the AI that we were comparable with 2 months ago has actually gotten. So here we are in the editor, and you can kind of see that line go up, the musical here. So McLaren, Stake, everyone here, everyone is 80 or above. We're currently at 72% is the estimation. And we all start around 60%. So as you can imagine, the AI has jumped leaps ahead of us here. And it's going to be a rough season, I think. We might actually get fired here, even with the buffs that we have to the CFD facility, because our expertise isn't actually keeping up, I believe. I will, of course, do a little bit more testing on that, but already the season start is not looking promising here. So we're ready here with quali, and our first runs have put us at a 28.4. And Ocon immediately outdoes us by 0.6 of a second. We are similar to Show, though. That's positive. Piastri setting a second allowed quicker lap time in quali is not good news for us. I'm not going to lie. And neither is Pocher doing the same. We might actually be out here in Q1 of this challenge. Rivas definitely did get held up. Verstappen goes even quicker. Yeah, this could be... I think this spells a little bit of disaster. We're going to have to just sit in the pits for now, and we're going to do another run towards the end of the session. I think that is going to be our best bet. At least Almeida, I don't fully remember the name, sorry, shouldn't be able to... Almeida, I'll have to check. Shouldn't be able to beat us, but that is literally our only saving grace here. We are on the cusp getting eliminated. The AI takes no prisoners, no mercy, and I think we are going to be witnessing that right now. Let us see here if we can improve. The quality run is going here for Sargent. It is going for Hamilton. We send Sargent out first to clear the path if necessary. Hamilton then has a little bit of a easier time is the idea. But a yellow first sector for both cars here is not what we needed. And I think we are potentially going to have a double out in Q1 for Bahrain. There is a yellow flag. And we are, in fact, double eliminated. We are over a second behind the leaders in Q1. Our strategy for Bahrain is going to be straightforward and simple here. We destroy the mediums as quickly as possible. We try and undercut our way up the field a little bit. We underfuel, of course, and right now I'm feeling that the Alpine engine that we're forced to stay with because of Alpine is going to be a bit of an anchor around our neck, just adding insult to injury. Because right now we're only ahead of a Sauber and, well, the freebie as things stand, and that is going to be a little bit of an issue. At least Hamilton here gets a good start, gets a good run on the car ahead. So yeah, we'll have to see here what we can do in this scenario. If we can make any sort of comeback, snatch a couple of points. I don't remember what the board expects of us, here, but I think it is going to be a top 3 finish at a minimum. To add the insult to injury here, our first pit stop of the season while our pit crew is fully rested. It is slow. It is the Alpine experience here for us today. But yeah, Hamilton has pitted. We're still not lost, which is good news. I'm currently keeping Sargent out here because he was holding up Albon a little bit, but I think at this point it is time to get him into the pit. And honestly, again, if we can score points here, I'm going to be happy. But I'm worried that the board will fire us this season. But we'll have to see how the next 5 races go, and then we'll have to figure out how do we want to handle the development issue if we do not enjoy the same privileges as the AI. We are getting increasingly closer to the end of Bahrain. Just 4 laps remaining. Hamilton down in 14th. Sargent sitting basically last. I don't want to count the McLaren driver as a driver with this overall. But yeah, Sargent is comfortably in last. Hamilton is in 12th here. is 8 seconds off points in theory. Well, not 8. Well, yeah. 9, 8, 10 seconds or so of points. But we are a good 50 seconds down from the Red Bull 1-2 that is about to occur at the moment. So, yeah, we have a little bit of work ahead of us. Just a tiny teensy bit of work ahead of us, I dare say. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about it. Let's at least try and get Sergeant away from Lawson here so we can take at least a smidgen of pride with us home. But yeah, I think we need to pray that the development buff that I hoped that we were going to get with the CFD is going to work. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that the CFD buff does not actually affect expertise like I hoped it would. So, with that said, we are at the end here. 1-2 from Red Bull. That's going to make my life a lot harder if we actually get something done this season. But yeah, 14 for Hamilton. Not bad. 20th for Sargent. We might need to look into replacing him because beating Lawson only is not good enough. But considering the car, maybe it can be acceptable. So this challenge might be dying a lot quicker than anticipated because, as it turns out, while it looked like we were getting huge gains, they weren't huge enough. As you can see, this looks very, very normal from a S2 to an S3 without any buffs. Basically, the CFD buff that we're getting does not affect the expertise levels. That is the best way that I can describe it. We're not actually getting the CFD, like the CFD facility here. That effectiveness does not mean that we're getting a huge amount of gain from the expertise level itself. So basically, the CFD sim right now is kind of capped simply because we can't actually put it all to use. Get an extra 5%, yes, but we don't get the underlying expertise. So even if we make that part, and it is very much a boost, it will not actually go anywhere beyond that. Now, to test this theory, I have gone ahead and made an underfloor where I put in all of our CFD time, just to see if we get a bigger boost on the next one. It's going to take a month before we get this one, so we'll simulate some races. But basically, if we do not see a huge amount of gain once this underfloor is done, I think this challenge is probably going to end up dead in the water. And the reason for that is basically the team I chose, because I'm pretty sure the board here is we're actually expecting 7th or above. We might survive the season. We might get another chance to do this next year. But if we do, I think we do need to replace Sergeant. We need to upgrade our staff. That's going to be one thing that we need to do. So, yeah, we do have some challenges ahead of us if we want to try and do this still with the debuff. 7th might be high enough, though, that unless we have a lucky race somewhere, that we still get fired. But I'll try my best to make this happen. And as I mentioned, I'm just going to simulate through the next couple of races here. And we will see if we can figure out a solution to this that will actually allow us to keep going. Right now, I'm just getting started on making extra parts because we'll need them. So with no big upgrades on the horizon, we'll just have to live with the current situation. There's no other way around it. Then we'll have to see if we can find a way to overcome the challenge that is ahead of us. So, the underfloor I ordered, the one to kind of give us that final confirmation whether this works or not, is finished. And if we take a look at it, the expectation here is 822. Let us pray that either the top speed or anything else here has changed for the better. We also had the event that gives us 6 slots, but we don't have the money to use 6 slots. We have 7 million right now and 5 slots to fill, so that just isn't viable. And let us see here what we can get out of this underfloor. And it is looking promising. 13, 13, and 41. But I am losing top speed. Did I make a top speed underfloor? Is that what's going on? No. So, guess I didn't put in that 1 unit of CFD. Damn. It might still be working. this might still be a legitimate strategy because we still have uh, one unit of CFD that we can put into this. I put everything in just to test this, which might have backfired a little bit here. But if we can do this, then there might still be a snowball's chance in hell. Now, on the negative side of this project, if I go back to my inbox here, and we scroll down to the regulation vote, there is a major regulation change coming. So we need to do this season if I'm going to do it in this save. So yeah, we are going to have a little bit of an interesting year ahead of us. And it's still going to be 24 days until we get a new CFD period. And then I need to spend some time actually designing the new part. We're probably not going to be competitive until the second half of the season. I think as long as I can win a race, I'm going to take that as a personal win with the impossible challenge here. But yeah, we're going to skip a couple more races. We have still yet to score a point. We finished dead last in everything that I've simulated so far. Let's keep it going a little bit longer. The next ATR period is upon us, and with that, we can actually see now if we can, not really cheese per se, but if we can do something with the ATR period. And it has done something here, particularly in the cornering department. It's not going to be enough, but I can see this potentially working. It did take my entire CFD period though, and honestly, if we had more CFD time, we might be able to do something against the AI. Now, math-wise, where we end up with this is that we'd end up with a car that is about 75 to 80 in cornering. That is not great. I don't actually remember if I went full speed previously. I don't think I did. But as you can imagine, this is still going to put us in a compromised position. That is the best way I can put it. We're still not going to be able to keep up with the AI even if we do this. But we just need to score like one lucky point, I feel. So we could still potentially make something happen. Now, the other question that I have to ask myself here is, can we cheese the research? And the question that is, no, we cannot. And this is the big one that is probably gonna be bad for us. So because, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that our expertise isn't actually affected by the CFD buff. And honestly, this is actually the best way I can visualize it for you. So CFD building affects the car part directly. It doesn't actually affect anything hidden in the background, like in this case, the expertise gain. We're still getting a measly amount for the investment here. Let's be honest, this is not a lot, and we are losing 50% next year. As you can see, we're falling down to 40%, 34%, and we're barely getting any of it back. Even if we do place the slides correctly, it's very similar to what we would usually get. But this is not actually going to be a doable thing either with the research. I could try and, edit my CFD time, be a little bit more competitive, but I generally think that I will not be able to beat the AI here. It's just that simple. We might take a lucky win if we go full in on design like we did the underfloor now. Let's do a 2.9 on the rear wing, full safety basically. And then we basically do each part like this one at a time. That could, in theory, work, but it's going to take the entire season to get a car that would be anywhere close to, challenging. And the AI is still just going to keep on developing the car until they're 85 to 95%. Basically, they're going to max them out. And I think we're going to take a look at where the AI is now. But even with this busted safety simulator, we can't actually do anything because we're not getting that extra expertise buff that the AI is doing. We're getting a 10-20% buff here to the car parts, but it has a cap, and we can't exceed that cap. If we could maximize every part easily and still be somewhat competitive with the AI. It would basically be max cars versus max cars and purely driver versus human. AI drivers versus human, that sort of thing. Which might honestly be a fun little different side project we could do. I don't want to toss this just yet because it is an interesting challenge to use the CFD simulator buff here to beat the AI. But as we've seen, there is unfortunately a cap to how many stats you can get through this. And right now, it isn't really enough to be competitive anymore. As sad as that is. So if we do this, and then we do 1, yeah, it's not enough. The reason why we're getting so little gain on this one is straight up because we're so ahead of our expertise level that the game just says, no, you aren't allowed to go beyond this. This is the maximum you could theoretically do. So unless let's face it here, if I edited my save file here and set my hidden expertise to maximum, we could do this. And honestly, I might make a copy of the save file just to show you that. So I'm going to do just that. I'm going to show you that we are actually just straight up limited here by the hidden cap, so to speak. And unfortunately, I don't think this challenge is going to be possible. But let's take a look first at the AI, see how they've done. We're now basically finished the 4 months here. We're just done with April. Let's see where the AI is, and then I'm going to do the edits to the save. And then we shall see exactly where everything stacks up against each other. So here is the development chart for the AI. As you can see, they've already reached that cap. They're all Mercedes up at almost 95%. Seika is at 89, so as I mentioned, 85 to 95. I was actually going a little bit on the lower end. We can't close that 27% gap. It just isn't happening. Like even Sauber's here, you can see that they have 90%, 80%. This is across the entire board. They're lagging a little bit behind on the underfloor, which is why they're behind the rest here. But they're going to catch up with that very, very soon. Even if we do something here, it's not necessarily going to help us in any way, shape, or form. And as I mentioned, I'm going to use the other editor to just buff my hidden expertise and see if that solves the issue. Because if we buff my hidden expertise to, close to maximum, we might be able to still do something fun and experimental with this. But I'm going to have to say that just the CFD buff alone is unfortunately not enough to beat the AI. The AI, basically, at the start of the game, we're even further away from the top. So a fresh save, you're not going to be able to beat the AI. A save where you're maybe 20% behind, maybe that could be a place where you could be a little bit competitive. But in this case, we are definitely not going to be. This is the big regulation year again. So it's not a good place to be, all things considered. Now, next up, I'm going to just edit the save as I mentioned, and then we'll see if we can reach the cap. And that, I think, is going to be the end of this video. If you guys have any suggestions on how we can salvage this, my suggestion is that I boost my underlying expertise levels to try and be a little bit more competitive, do a bit of a kind of recovery drive with everyone having basically equal machinery. See if I can beat the AI that way. It maybe be a little bit interesting. But other than that, I don't think we're beating the impossible challenge. The expertise gain buff that the AI has is just too powerful. There's no way we're keeping up with them. So here we are. I've just done the edits to my expertise levels. The AI had, for the most part, hit maximum expertise. I've set mine to 95%. They were at 100%. Let's see if that actually allows me to go beyond the limit, if you will, with the CFD time here. And honestly, it doesn't really, well, it does kind of look like it. Yeah, this actually allows me to go past the limit. As you can see, we're hitting that 95% mark, and we're not actually losing. Okay, so the boost here is twofold. Like, it's because we have 95%, that is one, but it's also being held by this one. But again, it seems to be capped at about 5%. So we still are limited. But this would bring us up there. We'd hit 95, we'd just hit 11. Not great. The engine cooling for some reason is getting a huge buff, and the airflow middle 2 is hitting that higher note. What about wing anything like that? If we do this, still just going to be 1. But most of this is just the expertise levels catching up, to be fair. Yeah, the expertise levels... Honestly, again, there's just no good way of doing this challenge because the expertise levels just set too many limitations. If I boost my expertise level, the next part is, of course, going to start at that level, which is something I should have realized. I'm just looking for a solution without thinking what that solution would do to my problem, and basically it just removes the problem altogether. So there isn't really any way to beat the impossible challenge just with the CFD building, as it turns out. I don't think that is doable unless we start at a point where everyone is a lot closer to each other. So sadly, can't really do it. I'm just gonna have to throw in the towel here and admit it. The impossible challenge is not viable. Still, because even with the bus CFD sim here, it is the cap on how high above the. Sorry if this screen is lagging. It does that every now and again. The impossible challenge here just isn't viable because the car just ends up lagging too far behind, and even with the bus CFD simulator, we can't actually take full advantage of it, and as a result, we just end up falling behind this time. This time by already nearly 30% by the time we've gone just 4 months into the game. So yeah, that is unfortunately it. While it sounded like a fun challenge where you could, make something happen, unfortunately the AI is just a little bit too strong. Could we tweak the rule set to kind of make it somewhat doable? Yes, but we'd basically only be postponing the inevitable, as again, it's just the expertise gain that just isn't following the buff. So the wind tunnel CFD building, it literally just gives you a buff to your current parts. It's not going to help you in the future with research. It's not going to give you extra expertise, it seems like. Not really enough for it to matter, really. So as you can imagine, I think we're going to just, again, throw in the towel here. If you have any suggestions on how you could make this interesting, please let me know. It was a fun little suggestion. I thought it could work, and I think I'm still going to release this video on it because it was an interesting suggestion. Now, if you'd like to see me try to revisit this and just basically do a, equal cause, human versus AI, let me know and we might come back to this in the future. But unfortunately, second attempt at the impossible challenge here. The first one with Red Bull where we got fired, I'm still counting that one. The second attempt here, even while abusing the CFD simulator bug, also sees me as the big loser. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. As I said, I'm looking forward to any suggestions you have, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.